the Brains Trust, introduced by the question master, answering any question.
The lads are battling here, but we got through the centenary weekend, Eyes. Brycey, living the life in the UK. Firstly, we'll go to you, mate. How's life in the UK? Bit of summer, bit of cricket, I see, at Lord's last
Yes,
week.
mate. The sun's out, Big Yella's out. Eyes has just pulled me out of the scratch for this one. And I sound a whole lot better than you two. So it sounds like you've had a hell of a weekend, which is great to see. Yeah, got to Lord's last week for the first day. Saw Conway's 100 on debut. Don't ask me what happened after that, 'cause I'm fucking unsure. But I remember that one vividly. So I'm over the moon. I got to go to the home of cricket and see one of those milestones.
How good. What do the pints cost at Lord's?
Well, Scotty, Lord's is the only cricket ground in the world where you actually can take your own booze in. So I took a bottle of wine in, and the guy I went with also took a bottle of wine in, but he doesn't like wine, so he wasn't going to. But I was like, whoa, you're allowed one, mate. You bring it. Yeah. So I chipped away at a couple of bottles of wine, and then I did get a couple, and they're £4.50, so it's not bad.
That's reasonable for a sporting event.
Yeah, but it's quite traditional, so it's like it wasn't your normal beers. It was like the English ales. And I was sitting there after a couple of wines saying, is this fucking supposed to be warm? And there's a lot of...
yeah, I can imagine you getting quite vocal about that.
There's a few English boys sitting around like, yeah, it is. It's an English... Oh, it's fucking shit. So I only had a couple of those. It was a good day, though. Good day out.
Speaking of drinks, Eyes, fair few consumed at Miller Street in the Ascot over the weekend. Marist 100th celebrations. Just a big old go. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, it was. It's all pretty blurry, to be honest, just in terms of it goes really quickly that whole weekend. You'll probably be able to touch on a little bit more in terms of from an organising point of view. You spent the best part of 2 years organising, and then 3 days it's just gone like that. But it was pretty cool to see a few familiar faces and some, I guess, not so familiar faces, and make a few mates. Obviously, probably the only downside of the weekend was losing the game on Rugby Park, but after a few beers, it sort of becomes a bit null and void, and you just get on with celebrating the weekend. I think Hamish Mackay spoke on, actually all the speakers on the Sunday at the formal dinner were really good, but Hamish Mackay was particularly good, the guest speaker. He had a few footy yarns from World Cups and I guess the relationships and I guess a few stories from inside the All Black camps and who likes him and who doesn't. So it was quite interesting to hear. But no, all in all, a pretty good weekend. I guess from your point of view, Scotty was pretty happy with how everything went in terms of the organising side of things.
Yeah, speed bumps. So it went pretty well, to be fair. I think exceeded expectations. So I was worrying about all the little things that might go wrong, but as always, it sorted itself out. So, Jeremy Winders obviously getting himself to the front of the queue to play the guitar or hold up a jersey in the auction. He was prominent as always, but it was bloody good stuff actually.
Yeah.
And we had obviously the team naming, the team of the I guess you'd call it the last 50 years, and then later in the night we obviously had an alternative team. Congratulations, Eyes, on filling one of the 2 bench spots for that team. So,
I think we've got to thank Paul Harrington for that, and I was probably as surprised as anyone to hear that, but no, all in all, it was good stuff.
Yeah, well, we might share that on our story once that gets posted publicly. But some interesting selections, both teams. Right, we'll get into it. Just quickly, we thought we'd just touch on the retirement of one John Hardie, the Hardhorse 44. Finally hung the boots up. Pretty stellar career. The Stags, the Highlanders, Scotland, and then obviously Newcastle in his later years. Brycey, you're obviously in that part of the world where he's finished up. Probably a Southland lad who's got a fair bit of respect over there now, over the past few years.
Yeah, 100%. I remember following, he used to, didn't have phones and that back then. There was a set date when the Super Rugby teams released their squads, and you'd have to get onto the ODT or something just to just to look at them all, and it was always good to see Hards there because he was like, this is when the Highlanders were kind of struggling for a while, and I always thought he was one of our top 3 players for a long time. Over here, definitely, Newcastle, we sort of probably had a hand in them getting back up into the Prem.
Yeah.
They started off really well this year, but faded a little bit, which is probably to be expected. But that's where you want to be over here. It's a very lucrative competition, so he's a fucking good, typical Southland 7, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eyes, any quick thoughts on the Hardhorse hanging them up?
Yeah, I think it was probably. I think he mentioned it as good to do it, go out on his own terms as opposed to getting canned ultimately. I know his body's been sort of playing up for quite a wee while now, so to go out and just say, no, this is it. It's sort of no surprise that his body plays up the way he played on the field. He's one of the most physical players you could ever imagine. He's built like a fridge, but I guess from a Southland point of view, him and Tim Boys and that 6'7" just used to go all day, and they seem to just you struggle to find better loosies than those guys. And as good as he is on the field, he's pretty good off the field in terms of being a bit of a character. And we'll miss watching him play to catch the odd game of Newcastle when I can. But I guess from a Southland point of view, never forget him coming through the grade and the performances he put in for Southland. It was some of them are pretty spectacular. So a hell of a career, Hards, but on to bigger and brighter things.
Didn't mind a Coke Zero either. I'm not sure if he still drinks them, but huge fan of the old Coke Zero.
He did not want that.
Right. No, bloody good work, Hardhorse. Enjoy retirement. Right, last week topic we thought we'd just cover off quickly before we get into it. Stags HP group, second HP group for the year named last week publicly. I guess fellas, few names in there. I guess a couple of surprises in terms of guys that maybe probably themselves even thought they might not have been selected in this group. I guess a bit of an eye, more so in terms of the Southland B and Southland under-19 teams who will be playing later in the year as well, possibly. But nonetheless, some good recognition for a bit of club form.
Absolutely. I think it's probably the forward pack's reasonably what you'd expect. I think there's a couple of names that may be a wee bit unknown to Southland rugby fans. Is Mickey Williams? Has he just come down?
Yeah, so
Counties?
Mickey Williams, who has played for counties, he's come down playing for Star. Not sure if this weekend's going to be the weekend. No, he's been injured. So it'll be good to see him go. If you actually tune into the Rugby Pass series at the moment behind the Steelers, I see in episode 2 he features a wee bit in there. So there'll be one guy to watch. Maybe also, I guess, Dustin Coveney, who we previewed, I guess, early in the season. He's having a pretty decent club season at present. So a few guys there that have put their hands up.
I think it's interesting.
Sorry,
Quickly, obviously Jeremy McLeod being named in there, and I think looking in who's actually in that high performance group, there's a lot of midfielders, so I think they're keeping their options open there, and a familiar name from Maris, Keanu Kakukoura, getting a run back in there, so some interesting selections though.
Bryce, any quick thoughts looking through that squad with those eyes?
No, I think Eyes hit the nail on the head there. It's pretty. It sort of picks itself. There's no one that I feel like should be on there that isn't, I guess. Do you guys think anyone's been left out, if anything?
I know from the original squad there was Bram, Footy and Will Murray aren't there. So I'm guessing
I understand they both pulled out. They both pulled out themselves rather than being dropped. So I guess his hand was forced. Obviously, Matt Funga unfortunately sustained that pretty bad injury to his face. So he's going to be out of action, I guess, majority, maybe back later in the NPC season, but that could be at a push. So I guess, like you said, I was really trying to keep those options in the midfield. I guess inside backs fairly well covered at present. Outside backs with the signings, guys that weren't named in the group, probably pretty well covered as well. So the midfield's probably the area they need to probably have a real good look at, I would suspect.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, we'll watch the space. Right, we'll get straight into it because there was a bit of footy last week. obviously we had the 2 games on this Saturday, the centenary games, Marist versus POB and Mosburn Waikiwi, but we did have some action last Wednesday and Thursday, so we might go on and have a wee look at that. We'll start at the Les George Oval last Thursday. It was Star taking on Woodlands. Star, they always said the second round is when it counts, and they've got off to a pretty good start, knocking over Woodlands 20 points to 9. Eyes, you had a bit of a watch over this one. Any thoughts around that?
Yeah, it was a bit of an arm wrestle, that game. Star came out of the blocks like last week really quickly, and I think they jumped out to probably a 14-3 lead early. Greg Pleasant State scored a try from behind halfway for just a drop ball. I think it was at 10 off a line out, so that helped them along their way. And then Geordie Stewart bust over. It sort of seesawed a little bit there. The game was pretty well dominated by kicking of Liam Howley. I thought the kicking game the first half in particular was really good from 10-15. And Ben Pope as well kicked. It's probably the best I've seen him kick positionally. So both teams were just playing a bit of ping pong. I think at half time it might have been 17-9, and then it sort of the game didn't really get to any great heights in that second half. It was just sort of both teams were playing quite a bit between the 22s. So Star didn't really look like conceding a try, if I'm being honest. I didn't think anyway. But they'll be happy to get away with that win and I guess kickstart their second round and push for a semi-final spot.
Right in the hunt. Right, Brycey, we might go straight to you, mate. We'll move on. The Barbarians
hand it over.
Took on Blues out at the Showgrounds Thursday night. I know Showgrounds is your favourite ground.
Yeah. Well,
Blues got the chocolates. Bit of an upset, some would say. 34-28.
Marched up to the Barbars Fortress and just fucking blown them away. Yeah, it was a weird one. It was a weird one, especially that first half. I feel like the Barbars sort of had most of the ball. But Blues, to their credit, did really well at absorbing all that pressure. And then when they had their chances, they only sort of really had 2. They scored 2 tries off it. And I don't know if you've seen any of the footage, but early on the Barbars got a penalty and kicked it sort of 15 out and went to their maul as you would if you were them. And then Blues managed to hold it up, which I thought was quite a big statement from their forwards. And then that flowed into the scrum because the Blues scrum absolutely dominated them a few times. And I think if you can go up there or anywhere dominate a Barbars scrum, you're going to go a long way to winning the game. But yeah, it was good. It was a good start. Coughlin had some good runs. He showed their intent. He quick tapped 40 out and beat a few. Jacob Payne sort of helped weather that storm. He was everywhere. He made a few good tackles, both sides of the field. And Blues is sort of their shape. They were just getting around the corner, but which I don't know. It wouldn't be a tactic I'd take against the Barbars, but they did it really well. They were getting around the corner faster than the Barbars could and just making really good meters.
I guess also featured 5 penalty goals from Napu Vera, the Blues 12. Pretty impressive points all for him. 3 tries scored by both teams, but his 5 penalties the difference.
Yeah, exactly. So they only scored 1 try in the second half, Blues. To the Barbars 2, but the penalties off the boot with a decider in the end. I thought Spinner did a really good job of keeping that game flowing. Sort of every second ruck, it looked like he could have blown a penalty either way. It was quite scrappy, and he just sort of let it go, which was good. And I think the difference probably in the end, apart from the scrum, would be the Blues having the classier backs. I think all 3 of their tries, or each of the back 3 got 1 each. So they obviously had that class just to finish out wide. Koeman scored a ripper off the scrum. It's probably going to be in the tries of the week highlights.
Just a wee 8, 9, 15, wasn't it?
Yeah, nothing special. Just ran a good line and stood up.
Beat Seamus.
Yeah, didn't. I don't think Seamus landed a hand on him, to be honest.
But
yeah, Blues will go up there and take that. That's probably for a Wednesday night. That's a big win in terms of where they want to end up.
Absolutely. So Barbara's on a wee bit of a slide at the moment. I'm sure they'll be looking to rectify that this weekend with another home game. Right, we'll go to the last game, which was on Saturday. Marist boys took on Pirates Old Boys, in what appeared to be good conditions, but to be fair, in a space of about 15 minutes, it turned from not a bad day to horrific. Temperature dropped, the wind chill came, and along with that came the sideways rain. So made for a pretty stop-start sort of fixture. Both teams, bit of an arm wrestle at times. POB out to a 13-6 lead at half-time. Second half, Marist boys wind at their back. Plenty of opportunity, plenty of endeavour, but credit to Pirates Old Boys. Some pretty nuggety, tough defence keeping the Marist lads out. Marist boys probably guilty of a couple of errors, I guess, and decisions that cost them 5 points at certain times, but POB rallied. Penalty with 2 minutes to go, then a try right on full time, I guess blowing the score out a wee bit, so 23 points to 9, nonetheless. Pretty good one for them, and I guess keeps their unbeaten streak. We talked about them being able to keep their momentum into the second round, but I guess, Oz, you were part of that, or you were there. Bit of an arm wrestle. Yeah,
it was, and I remember running into the sheds, probably 5 to go, and then running out, and it looked like a complete different picture in the sky. So, it was a bit of a shame because it would have been nice to see both teams play on a dry deck, actually give the ball some air, but I think Pirates Old Boys adjusted better than we did. For the most part, they, as you mentioned, their defence was resolute. They made things pretty difficult on us. Greg Dyer against Pittsburgh was really good and really influential in the game. I thought Jay Thompson was really good, and he had hands full all day with Tavita coming down his channel, and they marked up pretty well on him. So, but it was a good performance, and that just shows you the class of the Pirates Old Boys team and why they haven't lost the game. You find when you've won a few games in a row, you find ways to win as opposed to ways to lose. I know that sounds common sense, but it is really true. So it's going to take a good side to knock Pirates Old Boys off, but see how it goes.
Right, Bryce, any thoughts there to that, mate?
No. Negative.
Did you watch it?
To be fair, I did actually wake up at like 4 and checked my phone as you do, and I saw that it was live, and I think it was a sequence where Tavita kicked it twice in about 30 seconds. He put in a grubber down the left, and then they cleared, and he somehow got it again and kicked it again. And I just went back to sleep after that. They weren't great kicks.
Yeah, one of those days, mate. One of those days. It was probably better to not have the ball at times, but
yeah, absolutely.
Nonetheless, good win for POB. Like I said, they'll be tough to beat. And team's going to have to play pretty darn well to knock them over in these last 4 weeks. Right, we'll go to Division 1 because there's some pretty good footy action there. Ex-Soper. Thursday night we had Midlands taking on Tokanui, so I guess this was a bit of a measuring stick in terms of, that gap, and Tokanui probably showed a few people that the gap isn't all that big, particularly for some of those country teams. 24 points to 14. Midlands getting the bonus point, but not getting it until the 80th minute, so Tokanui would take a lot out of that. I know watching some of the footage, their scrum definitely had Midlands under all sorts of pressure. So positive signs for Tokanui. First game, I guess, in the bigger leagues where they have been. Waikika inflicted Wyndham's first loss of the year, 19 points to 10 out at Waikika. Played in front of a pretty big crowd. Waikika pretty classy. Nice try there from Hayden Stevens and bit of ball movement from the Green Machine. So pretty good one for them. And Edendale getting it done, 50 points to 26 over Riversdale. We'll go to the Gerald Dermody. Some pretty tight games there. We had, obviously, the Mosburn also celebrating the centenary. So well done to Mozzie on that. They got the job done over Waikiwi, 48 points to 18. That was pretty good from the Mozzie lads. Then we had Albion took on Matoda. And I think Albion.
No, I think it was last week. I think they've still got those games up.
Which game's that? Sorry, Oz.
Albion, Matilda.
Got them up.
I think that was the same score as the week before.
Yeah.
I think there was only that one. I reckon it was only Mosman. Mosman.
Yeah, they did. They did have a bye, didn't they?
Yeah, I think everyone else had a week off.
Yeah. We'll have to double check that. But I think Pioneer did play collegiate out at Les George on Wednesday night, and it was Collegiate, who got the job done. So Collegiate off to a pretty good start. 20 points to 12. And it was Matoda who got the win over Albion, 21-19 at the Gore Showgrounds on last Wednesday night.
Right.
Matoda currently leading Gerald Dermody, followed by Mosburn and Collegiate. So I think that Gerald Dermody is going to be pretty tight, fellas, as well as the ex-Soper, particularly, I guess, in terms of getting that home semi-final spot, which we talked about last week. It's going to be some pretty tight games.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be, as you mentioned, tight in either team. Whoever shows up on the day, this is just another rugby cliche I've chucked out tonight, but whoever turns up the day gets the points. I think it's going to be also, as we saw, like at the end of last round, Albion had got in without winning a game until they won that last game. But if you pick up bonus points along the way, just one, the odd two, I think it's going to hold you in pretty good stead to sneak into a semi-final if you're not necessarily winning all your games. So, it's going to be pretty interesting, all those races for both the ex-Open and the Gerald Dermody.
Bryce, any thoughts on the Eck and the Gerald, mate? Some tight games there?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it last week around how the Midlands result was quite important to sort of the rest of those country teams' mindset almost. If it was a blowout, then probably would put teams coming up next year, I guess, if Rugby Southland approached them. But it's close and it's good. It's good to see. They were part of that comp last year, which none of us could pick any of the fucking games. So it looks like it's going to be like that again.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. I think purely results-wise, the AC was the most exciting comp last year out of all of them. So it would be good to see that happen again.
Any results surprise you in terms of the ex-Soper? Waikiki obviously getting it done over Wyndham. Probably not so much a surprise at home, but
I guess
Edendale big winners over Riversdale.
Yeah, probably the size of that scoreline's a bit of a surprise. Probably not so much. I think we probably all picked Edendale to win it, but yeah, that's a big score to rack up. Especially under lights, wasn't it? So I always find it hard to take much stock from night footy because it's completely different footy than what you play on a Saturday in terms of it's just different, something you're not used to. Conditions are usually pretty fucking average. To rack up 50 points I saw Brewster from Edendale got a hat trick. I think he scored his first 3 tries for the club, so it's a pretty nice start.
Absolutely. Rightio, we might get straight into our preview. Got some big games coming up this Saturday. We might start in Gerald Dermody. We've got Matoda taking on Collegiate. It's going to be a hell of a game, fellas. Bit of maroon and gold against maroon and gold at the Matoda Rugby Football Club. Expecting a bit of fizz in this one.
Yeah, did we work out what happened the other week when we had that jersey clash, the Edendale Riversdale? Was there any mail around that?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that.
You can't really go to a Southland country jersey for this clash, can you? Like,
no.
That's still a clash.
I'd say the Collegiate boys will be in Cowboys cap.
It's a good call.
It may not be as silly as it sounds there, Bryce.
Mate, we may need to make an inquiry on that. Collegiate, if you're privy to that listening in, flick us a message. Let us know what the situation is.
Collegiate are the away team, so it'll be up to them to fucking change. I don't think Matilda will.
I'll take Matilda in this game unders.
Yeah,
I think they're good enough. Collegiate have been travelling pretty well though. They would have won two.
Seem to be getting better and better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's gonna be very close. I'll go Matilda too, just because they're the home team. It's a battle of the new boys.
Yeah, I'm going to go Matoda, but I think it'll be pretty darn tight out there. We'll look forward to that one. Right, we'll go to Newman Park. It's Pioneer trying to get a win on the board. Probably haven't had too much success this year. I know they got a couple of injury concerns. Pretty young team taking on Mosburn. Possibly like the Maris boys, big weekend on the Soup. Centenary weekend, so they may be a little bit flat this week. Pioneer boys, probably one that they've penciled in that they want to try and get a W at home.
I think they definitely would have penciled it in, but I don't know if they will. I think Mossy had a good win last week, and I think they had a good win against Tiana, their arch rivals, the week before. So they'll be pretty confident. Pioneer aren't tracking too well, so on form, I'll pick Mossburn unders.
Yeah, I think. Well, firstly, obviously, congratulations to Mozzie on the centenary. I was talking to Greg Tyther, who's got an affiliation with Maristand and Mosman, and he said the Friday night was reasonably large and expected pretty similar things on the Saturday, Sunday. So I'd imagine a few of those boys will be worse for you, but they'll bounce back pretty well, and I think they'll be too good for Pioneer. And I think they've racked up 50 points in their last 2 games, so they have definitely hit Nick. So I think away from it. Yeah. Fuck it, I'll take Mosman overs.
You go on. I'm going to stick the neck out here. I'm going to go for an upset, a boil over. Pioneer at home. They're due. I think the Mosman boys may be, a wee bit piss crook, travelling to Gore. I'm going to go Pioneer. Just. Right, we'll go to Waikiwi. Waikiwi back at home, taking on Albion. The Albion boys starting to, build a little bit. They had a couple of tight losses and a couple of tight wins in recent weeks. This is one that they might like their chances. Going to town, taking on a Waikiwi team. Pretty tough loss, obviously taking on Mosburn up there in the Centenary, so they'll be looking to get back on track.
Yeah, I think Albion, as you mentioned, they're really starting to strike some decent nick, and I actually think they're going to beat Waikiwi, even though they're away from home, as much as it pains me to say against the Kiki. I think they'll be getting the job done here, 12 and under.
Yeah. Brycey, what do you think there, mate?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to kick the Waikiwi boys when they're down, but I'm going to have to. I'm going to go, Albion unders. Maybe the opposite to what I said about POB, where winning becomes a habit. Just maybe in this case, losing becomes a habit for Waikiwi. Hopefully not. Hopefully they can break the shackles and get one back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Waikiwi. I think unders just. I'd expect nothing more than another close game for the Albion boys. We'll see what happens. Right, we'll go to the ex-Soper. Edendale at home, taking on Tokanui. Last time these two teams played a few weeks back, she was bit of a cliffhanger down in Tokanui. So can Tokanui, I guess, get that W this week, or do we think Edendale riding high after a pretty impressive one over Riversdale, going to look to try and really push themselves into that top 2 of the act?
I think if the weather's to be believed and the conditions stay pretty hard and fast, I think Edendale will be too good for them in the backs. Just from what I saw briefly on the clips from their game against Midlands, Tokanui got a pretty formidable forward pack, especially at scrum time. So, and I don't, no disrespect to Edendale, but I don't think that's the strength of their games. I think they're obviously be looking to attack through the back. So weather dependent, I'll take Edendale 13 plus, but that's probably quite rogue and the ex-Soper, to be fair, that prediction.
Yeah.
You're probably not far wrong. Edendale that have been scoring a lot of points, also conceding a lot of points, but they're scoring more, which is
got a few on them.
Thing. They do, and I don't know if Tokanui's that sort of team to chuck it around and go with them. I think if you're going to beat Edendale, you're going to have to score sort of more than 30
over
points.
30 on them last time, though.
It was 34-33.
34-33. Tokanui missed the opportunity to win with a kick at goal, so I guess, they'll take a wee bit of confidence out of that.
I didn't realise it was that high. I thought
Not sure how those 33 were scored, though. They might have been scored from, Mauls and down in the 22. Oh, no, it's still fucking 33 points, isn't it? It's probably a bit.
I'll pick Edendale, but if Tokanui win, I'll be over the moon. That'll throw that comp wide open.
Yeah.
Wide open. Right, that'll be a good one. I'm going to go Edendale unders, I think. Tokanui might give him a bit of a challenge again. Right, we'll go to Riversdale. Back at home, taking on the Wyndham boys. Wyndham boys looking to get back on the horse after their first loss against Waikaka last week. This could be a bit of an interesting game. Riversdale traditionally a lot better in later rounds, and back at home, they'll be looking to, I guess, get a win to keep themselves in line with that top 4.
Yeah, I'd say that Riversdale field's just starting to get nice and chopped up now, so that'll
nice and choppy.
That'll turn this game into a real arm wrestle up front. I'll take Wyndham unders. I think last week's loss might mentioned at the time, but it felt like a loss was almost coming with how close a lot of the encounters would be. So I think that might, when you have that losing feeling, often it can spark you into a winning performance the next week. So I think Wyndham will get the job done here.
Yeah. Contemplation, Brycey.
Oh no, it's tough comp, isn't it? Especially for the Riversdale boys. Just played Edendale, you got Wyndham this week, and then next week you probably got fucking Midlands or something like that. I'll go. You know what? I'll go. My head tells me to pick Wyndham unders, but that didn't work last year in this competition, so I think Riversdale win. I think Riversdale win unders.
Up the Riversdale.
I think they do. Because
Yeah,
on those clips, those Wyndham backs, they're playing a bit of globetrotter footy. And if I've never played at Riversdale, but you guys sort of said it might be cut up to bits. Might not.
That's pure speculation, but that's from that ride up the other week.
Yeah.
Well, Wyndham have got a special technical advisor in the back, so no wonder they're chucking around a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I like their footy, but I know it's not as easy to do on those heavy tracks, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll go for an upset. Go Riversdale.
Oh, I'm going to have to go stick with the Wyndham boys. Just. Another tight one, though.
I've always been a big fan.
I think Jimmy and the boys bounce back, to be fair. But
you're on the coaching team, aren't you? You're on the books.
Yeah, I think I'm on the payroll out there, so I'm going to be tipping against them. Right, we'll go to I guess you call this one the feature game of the weekend. Midlands taking on Waikika at Centennial Park in Winton. Waikika, great first up win. They'll be looking to come and knock over the boys from Winton. I think this could be quite an interesting game. Kirk Ray in charge of this one, so they've called in the big guns.
Yeah. I actually feel that last time Waikika played here, out at Winton, they won. That could be completely wrong, but I feel like that happened late in the season last year when Waikika were out of the running. So I'm actually going to pick a ball over here. I'm going to take Waikika. Fuck.
Who's the defining difference? Hayden, Stephen?
I don't know. I just reckon they're playing pretty well at the moment, and I just think they're good enough to win. I think this would be a pretty big statement of where, I guess, the other teams are at compared to Midlands coming down.
Yeah.
So I'll take Waikika, much to Bryce's dismay.
Oh, mate.
Dismay, sorry.
Kurt will be ringing directly through after this.
I can ring away, mate.
I wholeheartedly disagree with Eyes on this one. I think I think Midlands back in routine, Saturday footy. Hopefully Joe Robbins is back. They'll do a job.
Was he not playing last week?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay.
He wasn't on. No, don't backtrack now, mate.
I'm still taking the kicker, but.
I think, Wednesday footy, we've talked about it a million times on the pod. It's a bit of a leveler. Not to take anything away from Tok. I've seen the scrum in our DMs and they fucking pump them. So Midlands will have to sort that out. But if they do, I think they'll reap the rewards of spending the first 6-7 rounds up with the premier sides.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a game. It's funny, Eyes, because I've got a funny feeling that my gut's telling me to agree with you that Waikika might cause a boil over here, but I'm gonna have to go off the head. Midlands at home, I'd be a brave man to bet against them at home, so I'm going to go Midlands. But like I say, I think Waikika might give them a wee fright. Playing some good footy. I think Hayden Stevens could actually cause the young Midlands boys a couple of issues out wider.
I would make this the match of the round, but last time we picked CAC, they didn't get back to us, so we have to go.
It's got to be Edendale Tokanui, doesn't it?
I think it would. Yes,
we might have to lean that way.
Yeah.
Keke boys are still seeing the 3 dots. We're still seeing the 3 dots. So if any Waikika boys listen to this, get in touch. ASAP.
Do you want to name and shame who you asked, Bryce, or did you just ask the Rugby Club Instagram page?
No, I did reached out to an individual, and they definitely seen it.
Okay.
But hey.
Is it his first year in the Waikika team?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not.
No.
But they, I don't know, maybe they don't want that social media pressure. They don't want the noise.
Fair enough.
Just dialed in. Just dialed in.
It can rattle some teams. The pressure of brains trust expectations.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Many have fallen under the weight of our tipping.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to throw myself under a bus here, but I flicked through the gram the other day and found the preseason predictions. I had Pop getting the spoon. They haven't lost a game.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
that was fuel to the fire. I think that audio plays
What
out.
Doofy screenshot it, stuck it up in the changing
I've
rooms.
got that quote. They've got it quoted in the sheds in the squash rooms.
Kenzie's got
Speak-
pictures of us. Just comes in and pisses on us in front of the boys, get them up.
Get one back.
Speaking of Pirates, old boys, we'll get straight into the Premier previews. Taking on Star at Surrey Park. Star riding high after that win. 10 days off. Pirates, old boys, also riding high. 7 from 7. We think POB, they'll be warm favourites, but can Star cause, I guess, a bit of a boil over here?
No, they can't. I think we're supposed to entertain the idea on the show. I get it, but I think the Pod train keeps steaming on. I don't see I see Star fronting up 100%, but I don't see who they've got in the midfield stopping Tatamaki and Jay Thompson with good ball. I just don't see it. I don't see it.
It's Greg Dyer could have a bit of I guess a good day out, pinning the ball, finding a lot of space in that Star backfield.
Yeah, absolutely.
Possibly.
They're gonna have to be a little bit more clinical than they were on Thursday night. Start to challenge Pirates old boys. The way Greg's kicking positionally, and I guess with the skill he's got outside him and the industrial nature of and the mobility, I think, in their forwards is pretty tough to tame if they get on the front foot. So I'll be taking Pirates old boys 13 plus as well. I'll probably go as hard as Bryce has, but
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree, Oz. I think POB forecast is looking pretty favourable for Saturday. So I would probably
Where is
lean
that?
towards it.
Just-
Surrey
is it
Park.
no, it's all right. I thought
They might be on the end field. I noticed they did play Midlands on the end field rather than the middle field. So
You'd
be
be
a bit more-
keeping
bit in
people off
there.
those fields, wouldn't you? You just won't be doing any training on those fields. Just save them for games.
Yeah. Right, we'll watch that with bated breath. We'll go to the Gore Showgrounds. It's the Barbars taking on Marist. Old foes going at it again. Josh Hamill refereeing this one. Barbars in a bit of a, I guess, losing slide after, I guess, a massive couple of wins over Blues and Star. They've sort of dropped 3 on the bounce. I'll be looking to rectify that. Marist boys, obviously, disappointing result in the Centenary, but had been building reasonably nicely. This is probably pretty well poised. Either way, this game.
You go, Bryce. You go, mate.
Go to you, mate.
Oh, I think it's both teams obviously coming off a loss, and as you mentioned, Barbars coming off maybe 3. So team both. It's a pretty pivotal game. Pivotal game for both sides in the second round. Obviously, you don't want to drop 2 in a row because that gap starts widening for the semi-final. Fuck, I am still recovering from the weekend. Jesus.
Yeah.
But hopefully the weather's got out there and both teams get the opportunity to use the ball because we've been looking forward to that for a couple of weeks as that opportunity. So as I mentioned, Star would have to be more clinical than last week. So will Marist, to be fair. So if Marist can get that right, they'll be in a pretty good position to get the Chalkies. If not, it'll be a tough day out at the school showgrounds.
Brycey, what are your thoughts, mate? Give us your perspective.
Yeah, I think the Barbars are there for the picking, especially at home. They've dropped their last couple there, I think, so they're probably not as intimidating as they have been at the showgrounds the last few years. And looking at their tries on whenever they play Blues, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, whatever day of the week it was, I think if you don't give them chances to kick to touch and give away easy territory into their half where they can maul and pick and go, then you take away kind of their only source of points, really. They have been scoring some long range ones, so that might be a bit rough, but recently that's sort of they've gone back to their MO of just out muscling teams. So if the Marist boys can stay disciplined and not give away those piggybacks and things like that, I think you guys will be too good. Especially, I didn't realise that. I saw that Pob scored on the last play of the game. I didn't know they also kicked the penalty. So what was that? 13-9, pretty much with
13-9 with 2 minutes to go. Yeah, so
that's still even though you lost, Pob at the benchmark in the comp, so it's not a bad yardstick there if they hadn't scored that last one. Means you guys are up there or thereabouts. So I think it's yours to take.
oh, bit of expectation put on the Marist boys by one of the panel members, but we'll see what happens out at the showgrounds. Always a interesting hunting ground. We'll go to the last game. This has been moved to the Les George Oval. Blues taking on Woodlands. Blues coming off a pretty good win. Woodlands not so much, coming off a loss. Although some of the cavalry is coming back. Marty McKenzie will lace up, and possibly you may see Solomon Alomalo trot out for a few minutes if you make it out there. That's going to be a huge boost for Woodlands fellas. I guess going to make it a bit of an interesting game. Probably evens the ledger a wee bit. I guess if Marty and Solomon weren't there, you'd probably be leaning towards Blues.
Yeah, just probably after that one of the showgrounds and then watching the tape against Star, I would have definitely been leaning towards Blues. So with the addition of those two guys, and even I think more importantly, Marty back at 10 will give that Woodlands team a lot more guidance and just make things a lot easier for everyone else in the team. So with him back, I'll take Woodlands unders. This is a game that I'm honestly have got no idea if I'm being perfectly honest, but I think with Marty's addition and potentially Solomon's out the back, I will take them. Is Josh Morby back? Also back? Just on a quick note, or is he another week away?
Not sure. Could be one more week, but we'll have to double check that. Wouldn't surprise if he is back. He is due to be back in the next week or two, so watch the space.
Would that mean he can't play semis though, right? If he come back now?
Well,
he's contracted.
Oh, okay.
So due to the fact that he was pulled into the Highlanders as injury cover, still signed to Southland. Intention was to play for Woodlands clearly, so I believe he has been given the right to play in the finals. Shall Woodlands make it?
Can De Groot then play for Blues?
You'd say yes in that case, wouldn't you?
Believe no.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the difference there?
Well, I suppose.
Well, De Groot was already signed to the Highlanders, so.
Right.
Guess we'll save that. We'll save that for another day, mate.
But yeah, sorry.
Drew can answer that.
Getting distracted, Scotty.
We'll get to that semi-final time.
Yeah, it's tough. I'll stick with Blues. I think and just continuity. They look settled. They look good. Their scrum look good. Their outside backs look good, and everything in between. I think Blues will win. Unders.
One thing I will mention about Woodlands, which has gone under the radar a little bit in the last 2 weeks, is I reckon they've probably got the best scrum in the comp. Like the way they're going, they were blowing Star off the ball, and I understand they had a pretty good day against Barbars as well. So I think that'll actually become a bit of a weapon for them going forward. So that's probably an underrated aspect of that game.
It's traditionally been a strength.
I mean, also had Joe Walsh, Big Joey, expected to make a return for some minutes next weekend, not this weekend. So I guess even more ammunition for their scrum.
Yeah, just building.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to flip a coin and go Woodlands. I think Marty back in the saddle might give them a bit of confidence. So I think they'll win in a close one. But like you say, Oz, it's a bit of a needle in a haystack. This game could go either way. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Right, fellas, that might do us. Pretty busy weekend coming up. A lot of footy. I guess we get into the meat and spuds of this last round now. 4 Saturdays in a row, no more breaks. Pretty much 4 weeks and we're at semi-finals, so the season's sort of flown by, but we're getting through it well and truly into winter now in this part of the world. Not so much for you, Brossy, but...
No, man, I'm sweating just sitting here.
Sure you're enjoying that heat?
Don't feel bad for you one bit.
Yeah, fair enough too.
All
Yeah,
good.
you boys go
Right.
get some sleep, eh?
Right,
Hey,
fellas. Cheers.
Later.
Yeah.